U-boats sank over 11 million tons of Allied shipping. There were more advanced subs. We're going to see trench warfare used, digging these big old pits and standing on the fronts, firing at each other. The United States, though, in the beginning of the war was neutral. At the start of World War I, Wilson said, "We're not getting involved." 1914, the British ship, the Lusitania, is sunk by a German sub. There were almost 2,000 people killed, including 128 Americans. Many Americans, they started to move towards war. We can't let this happen. What got the United States involved in war was this Zimmerman telegraph. It was discovered by a person over in Britain who passed along this information to the United States. Now, what the telegram said is that if Mexico would help Germany in World War II, Germany would help Mexico regain the lost land that Mexico lost from the Mexican-American War, which was, you know, part of Texas, Mexico, part of Colorado, California, Utah, Nevada, that Germany would help get their country back that they lost from the Mexican-American War. That was the Zimmerman telegram. Was it true? Lots of people don't think it was true at all. But what it did, it kind of nudged us, kind of pushed us to get involved in the war. Now, during World War I, the Russian Revolution occurs. Nicholas II, who is the Tsar, who is this kind of this monarchy of Russia, is overthrown, and a new government, the communist government, emerges. Now, right when this happens, Russia signs a peace treaty with Germany, and now Germany is able to give its full attention toward the European allies. Now, England especially, they plead with the United States to enter the war. The United States finally does and enters the war against Germany on April 6th, 1917. On December the 7th, the United States declares war on Austria-Hungary. Now, we need soldiers during World War I. The Selective Service Act is passed. The United States begins to draft 21 to 30-year-olds for fighting in World War I. By 1918, 3 million people will be drafted. Now, during our involvement in World War I, the Espionage Act, the Espionage Act, what it did, there's heavy fines and long prison terms for anti-war activities and for encouraging draft resistors. So the Espionage Act, you better register for the draft. If you're drafted, you go to a war. No anti-war slogans or campaigns. It was against the law. The Sedition Act was a law that made it illegal to criticize the United States' involvement in World War I. There were heavy fines and imprisonment for that. Well, this is no different than when John Adams was president. We nearly went to war with France. The same acts for anybody who was not loyal to the United States. So it's not the first time a president used these types of laws. Now, the American tactics during the war was kind of a convoy system. Battleships escorted merchant ships. There were 70,000 mines used in the North Sea, which made U-boat access to the North Sea almost impossible. Well, the troops arrived. These American troops arrived in France in June of 1917. The bulk of our American troops would arrive later that year. The United States, we really proved to be the difference for the Allies. The Allies are able to defeat Germany. And what this did would end secret treaties, give freedom of the seas, freedom of trade. changes in national boundaries. Most of these changes gave independence to people that Austria-Hungary, or the Ottoman Empire, had ruled it, and so new nations are created. The creation of the League of Nations, which was supposed to be a peaceful way to settle disputes, mainly in Europe. Believe it or not, even though this was Woodrow Wilson's idea, the United States, I should say maybe the United States Republicans, refused to agree to the League of Nations, and they never gave the support to it. Wilson called it a peace without victory. The United States did not support the League of Nations, and it never really became an organization that Woodrow Wilson dreamed of until later. The Treaty of Versailles, it's a peace treaty that ends World War I. Germany is forced to accept full blame for the war. Germany was stripped of its colonies, and most of its armed forces were dismantled. Germany was forced to pay $33 billion for starting this war, for causing the damage in this war. Again, one of the results of World War I is the Austria-Hungary and Ottoman empires are broken up, and we see the emergence of Yugoslavia and Czechoslovakia. Poland became an independent nation. The treaty failed to make Europe safe for democracy, and really World War II is just the conclusion of all the problems that were caused during World War I. This treaty planted the seeds for World War II. Well, the results of World War I, 8.5 million people are killed. There's $35.5 billion were spent in this war. 21 million people were wounded. Millions of civilians in Europe and Africa died from starvation and disease. Well, this war to end all wars wasn't that way at all. A little bit down the road, when Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party comes to power in Germany, we will look at this war, part 2, our